Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to make another video in my little series, Getting to Know Me. Today I thought I would tell you a little bit about how I keep track of my reading. As I have started reading more and more, it's kind of gotten out of control, and so I had to come up with a system to manage it, and so I thought I would share that with you today. I keep track of the books that I want to read using Goodreads. I have a really long list of titles on Goodreads right now, and whenever I watch a BookTube video or listen to a bookish podcast or anything like that, if I hear a review of a new book that's coming out or maybe an older book that I've missed, I'll add it to my TBR on Goodreads, and it just keeps growing. But that's kind of the central location where I keep all of my TBR titles. I also keep track of what I actually read there. I have a read folder, I have a currently reading folder, and I also created a did not finish folder, which doesn't have very many titles in it, but I occasionally will use it. I keep track of a book when I start reading it. I will mark it as currently reading, and as I'm reading it, I will update the progress that I'm making so I can keep track of what percentage of the book is finished, and that comes into play later in the other tracking that I do. I've mentioned before, I have been setting an annual goal every year of the number of books I want to read. It's a Goodreads challenge goal, and that is tracked for me on Goodreads, where whenever I mark a book as read with the date falling within this calendar year, it adds it to my current challenge, and it keeps track of how many books I've read and how I'm doing toward meeting my goal for the year. So that's in Goodreads. There are some things that I like to do the old-fashioned way. I have always been a person to keep a planner just so that I can keep track of my days, the things that I need to get done. I keep a calendar and all the different things in my life going on. For years I bought planners, just the kind that you get at a stationery store, and it's basically just a glorified calendar that you can add. Sometimes there's a space for notes, and the really fancy ones might have a space for a grocery list or something like that. But they're pretty basic, and they're pretty much all the same. And then about 3 years ago, I discovered bullet journaling, and that's kind of changed my life. I have become a bullet journal enthusiast, and over the last 3 years, I have used a bullet journal to basically keep track of all aspects of my life, including my reading life. Now, if you don't know what a bullet journal is, I'm new at this, so I'm going to try, but I'll try to put a link down below to the original webpage for bullet journaling. And it was basically an analog system designed to help people keep track like you would a planner, but the beauty of the bullet journal is you can customize it to whatever you need it to be in your life, because what one person wants to track may not be what another person wants to track. Maybe you want to keep track of something that other people don't. This way you get to decide, you can arrange it however you want, and that's one of the things I really like about the bullet journal. Over the years, I have come up with what works for me, and I think in late 2018 is when I made the most recent updates. I think I did add something in 2019, but basically the main layout of my bullet journal has stayed the same. And I say all this because reading is an important part of my life, and so reading is an important part of my bullet journal, and I have several different things in my bullet journal devoted specifically to reading, and I'm going to share those with you today. Like I said, I do every year set an annual Goodreads challenge goal, and here is the page, my annual page for 2019. I'm going to insert a picture right here that shows this is my 2019 Goodreads challenge page for the year. And what I do on this page, as you can see, I put the title of the book that I finish. I don't record it here until I finish the book. I record the title. I write the star rating that I've given it on Goodreads, and this is a 5-star rating. I just, this so I can keep track of it in paper form. And then I write the date that the book was finished. I also have a tracking bar across the top of the page where I keep track of the number of books I've finished so far in the year. And for this year, in 2019, I set my goal of 36, which I am definitely going to meet that goal. It's only May, and I'm already 2/3 of the way to the goal. So I fully expect to exceed my goal this year, but this was just a starting point. I keep this every year. That way at the end of the year I can go back and see what books have I read, when did I read them, and also it's a nice place to look to see what my star ratings were. I also keep track of my goals. I have another video that I recently did about the goals that I set for 2019, and I've got those all written in my bullet journal so I can keep track of those. And I work in the corporate world, so I'm stealing from that and using the corporate concept of quarterly goals to incorporate that into my reading and into all aspects of my life. And so every quarter I set goals for myself: Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4. All right, here I will insert a shot of my Q2 goals for my life, and you can see on Fun and Recreation, I have things such as Yarnworks, which is my knitting group, and Monthly Hikes, which is something that we're trying to do. But the other thing in Fun and Recreation is my TBR, and it's really kind of hard to read, but I've got April, May, and June, the 3 months for Q2, and I've got the book that I selected to read, and this comes from my goal list, which is on my goal video, which I'll try to link that below. The books that I plan to read in each of those months. And then after I've created my Q2 goals, or my whatever quarter goals, I create monthly pages that have my monthly calendar and various different things that I want to keep track of throughout the month. And one of those things is a book tracker. And this book tracker started out as one page. I quickly realized that one page was not going to be enough because I read so many books that it wouldn't all fit on one page. So now I have moved that into a 2-page tracker. And here I'll insert a picture of my May book tracker, and you can see what I do. I list, as I'm reading a book, I will list the title of the book, and then each book has a bar graph underneath it, and it's labeled 0 to 100, and that's based on percentages. And as I'm reading a book, I will color in on that bar graph the percentage that I'm done each day. Every morning I sit down for breakfast and I open up my bullet journal and I update my book tracker so I can keep track of where I am in the books that I'm reading. This also enables me to go back later and see how many books have I completed so far, and which books am I close to completing, and which ones are not very far, and when was the last time I read, because I also jot down below the bar graph the last date of the update. One last thing that I do in my bullet journal, every week, every Saturday, I create a spread for the following week. And this is basically a calendar, but it has all the information on each day, things that I need to get done on each day. I also do my meal planning and put my dinners that I planned, and house cleaning chores that I want to get done that week, that sort of thing. But I also have a section for books. And in this section, I keep track of the books that I'm reading during that week. I have little symbols that mean I'm currently working on this, and then once I finish it, I'll put an X through the box, and that means I have finished it. Here's an example of the current week and the books that I'm reading for that week. So I update all of these things, and it may seem like overkill because I keep track of this information in multiple places, but this is really, it works for me. I'm a very visual person. I keep track every day using the percentage off of my Goodreads app. I update the book tracker every day and keep track of the books that I'm reading. Then when I finish a book, when I fill in that bar all the way to show that I finished a book, I go to my Goodreads spread at the front of the book and I record the title, the star rating, and the date that I finished it. That's what I do to keep track of my books. What do you do to keep track of your books? I wonder if people are as detail oriented as I am, or if I'm just really kind of out there on how I keep track of my books. Share with me, what do you do? I'm really curious to see what other people do to keep track of their books that they're reading. Thanks for joining me. If you like what you've seen, please like, comment, and subscribe. And I hope to see you next time. Bye.